Alright, when it comes to live action remakes, Disney has been kind of being a dud. But let's go 3D into the world of Lilo and Stitch and see if going to Hawaii is a dud. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Lilo and Stitch. What's about? Pretty simple premise. I just watched the original yesterday, and this one is now in 3D, and it's 23 years later, and we're live actioning Lilo and Stitch, where Lilo is an experiment coming to Earth, and a girl needs a friend. And welcome to Lilo and Stitch. So let's talk about the 3D first. Probably not needed. Yeah, there are some depth effects in this movie, but there was no pop out. I saw nothing really needing 3D effects in this one. So overall, if you need to see this in 3D, sure, but I just don't recommend it. I recommend probably seeing it in 2D. Save your $3, $4 extra surcharge because there's nothing in this movie that you're going to be like, oh my god, that really needed to be in 3D. Didn't really get it at all. I mean, maybe some of the alien scenes, but it wasn't enough to be like warranted that extra surcharge. Anyway, did I like this film? I think it is a mixed bag overall when dealing with the different acts and comparing it to the first one. Because is this better than Snow White? 100%. At least with this one, they actually kept the storyline pretty similar. Snow White, they made a completely different movie. Completely different. Anyway, with this one, let's talk about the crafts and the aspects of it. I do think when it came to, the first act, I was actually pleasantly surprised on how well they kept it pretty close to the cartoon with the sandwich, with how Stitch leaves the planet. Even though the old Lilo and Stitch is 85 minutes longer, him leaving the planet in this one felt a lot more rushed than the cartoon one. I don't know if that makes sense, but it really did. But now we're coming to Earth, and I'm like, oh, we're using some of the same songs, like the ho la la hee ho. And I'm like, yes, am I allowed to do that? My mom's from Hawaii, so I got some in me. So with that, I was like, okay, the sandwich going to do her things and going to the hula, competition. Even though it was more practice in the original, this one's more of a something for the parents to see. Like, okay, we're going there. The social worker comes. I'm like, oh, social worker's a little bit different. Okay, that's fine. Oh, we're adding a neighbor character. Okay, that's fine. Of course, they do that to connect it to the very end of the film. I'm like, okay, I don't mind adding here and here, but I'm like, where's Cobra Bubbles? Of course, Cobra Bubbles now is just a CIA agent, and they nerfed him. They nerfed the living crap out of him. What they could have done is kept Vig Rams as that role. I'm sorry, it would have been perfect. Just like they're doing with Gerard Butler with How to Train Your Dragon. He played the dad in the cartoon. He's the dad in the show. They could have done that with this easily. Vig Rams playing Cobra Bubbles. They didn't. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but the whole point of Cobra Bubbles is being like both, entities to have the very end, but they made it into two characters in this one. Okay, fine, whatever. All right, but then when Stitch comes to Earth, they do elongate it with him going to a wedding and, eating cake. I'm like, okay, fine. That's fine, adding a little bit of things, but we're keeping the core of the story, good. Then we're going to the second act, and the core of the story's still there. The surfing scene, her trying to get a job, social workers coming, David, things like that. So you're like, okay. And the aliens are Earth trying to catch Stitch, and people are saying Zach Galifianakis is, miscasted. I'm not seeing it, but, there. Okay. Of course, we're adding a little bit more banter with the aliens and things like that, but I'm okay. The core of the movie's still there. Yes, there are some more elongated scenes about the sisters talking. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And doing some things about more Hawaiian culture in this movie, about, teaching Lilo or teaching Stitch how to do hula and things like that, which I'm like, cool. I'm a Hallie, so if I'm saying things wrong, guilty as charged. So, okay, not bad. I was expecting a little bit more Elvis. Yeah, there was a couple things here and there, but, sure, why not? Elvis was still in the movie a decent amount, more than I thought, because people were saying it's completely gone. Yeah, it was here and there, so not bad. All right, the third act comes. That's where it changes through in and throughout of, the different aliens. Like, remember in the original one, you had that big, like, shark alien? Gone skis. That character doesn't exist anymore. And you're like, oh, but that was the whole reason for having another alien to come to Earth to, like, mend this, grab Stitch and having that. But no, they make it where Zach Galifianakis' character, the scientist, is the one that, takes Stitch and Lilo. Which, not really. He doesn't take Lilo. He takes just Stitch. Lilo somehow gets on the ship, though, which, let's not explain how that happened, or because the ship was underwater. Anyway, let's not explain that. But that completely changes the dynamic of the movie and the ending, as well as, keeping a family together. That doesn't happen. We're not keeping family together in this one, which I don't think it's a horrible decision with adding the neighbor character, but I understand why some people might be a little irked by it. I mean, yeah, it did feel like a different movie with the third act, just changing it completely. But am I mad at it? No. But I do wish, I guess my main concern is they just nerfed Bubbles and the third act so much where it was the same movie, but then it wasn't at the same time. So when dealing with the look of the movie, it looks fantastic. Stitch has some great CGI. This movie itself doesn't feel like it had that much post-production. Yeah, there was, like, some things with the surfing and things like that. But I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of this was filmed on location. And there's a really good scene with her, like, running underwater. So there were fantastic shots in this movie where I'm like, oh, I've never seen this before. Of course, could say that I've seen it with Pirates of the Caribbean, with, Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom with the boat underwater. But I was pleasantly surprised with keeping this grounded as much as it could with Stitch. I did miss the scene where Lilo's sister and Stitch talked, because she's like, I know you can speak English, and they talked. And that's a pivotal point in the original movie they took out of this one. And I think that's what the remakes really need to think about, is when they rewatch the original movies, be like, what are the pivotal points of the movie, and make sure to not take them out. But it feels like with these Disney live actions, they take those pivotal moments and they erase them from history. Okay, they're not erasing them from history, but they are taking it out from, like, the core message of the original movie. Like Snow White. Okay, that's not a bad one, because they took out every message of the original Snow White in the new one. I will not be buying this live action Snow White. I can promise you that. With the Lilo and Stitch, yeah, I can see me buying this one, because to me it kept enough with the Lilo and Stitch to be like, oh, the core message is there for majority of it, and a lot of the antics was still there and still having a little bit of fun. Yes, the quote-unquote bully children were kind of taken out, but I wasn't mad at that part. That part, I'm like, okay, because they really weren't such big characters in the original anyway. So things like that, I was like, okay, I understand. So overall, Lilo and Stitch 3D is a bust. Don't do it, in my opinion. The movie itself, I think it works. I think kids should enjoy it. I do think the second and third act, though, there are some scenes where kids might be a little bit, like, bored, because Stitch is kind of out of the picture for a good, like, 5-7 minutes, and the kids are probably like, where's Stitch? Where's Stitch? I want my Stitch back, because it's not just Lilo. Stitch is such a staple of Disney now. It's kind of shocking, where, like I said, every time you go to a Disney cruise, Stitch is one of the main people that are being taken pictures with. Of course, you have the princesses still, and of course the Fab Five, and then like Chip and Dale. Same with the parks. Stitch is a huge thing now. So I do think this is one of the better live action remakes with, Lilo and Stitch. I prefer still, Jungle Book. I think Beauty and the Beast. I still haven't seen Aladdin, so I still need to probably get on that train. Silly me. But to me, Lilo and Stitch does its job. It's filmed well. It looks fantastic. You can tell it's filmed on location in Hawaii. I'm pretty sure it's Kauai, not Oahu, because Oahu has way too much concrete jungle-esque. But, yeah. Go see Lilo and Stitch, in my opinion. I think you could enjoy this one. So, Lilo and Stitch 3D will receive a 3.5 out of 5 with Futons, which equals that 70%. Let's see the critics and user scores gave this one. Critics a 68 with 155. Audience scored 93% with over 5,000. Critic consensus, recapturing the adorable charm of the original, if not quite matching its rambunctious sense of imagination. Lilo and Stitch emerges out of the crate as one of the better live-action remakes of a Disney classic. Whoa! They're calling this one a Disney classic. Interesting. I'm curious about the writer of this one, of what else they've done. Nope, just Lilo and Stitch for one of them. And one of them did one called Dear David, which looks like it was a horror movie. So, yeah, there we go. So, 68, 70, 93. Chase out here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of these Futontopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'll watch today, tomorrow, week, from a year from now. Every single freaking one of you. Peace and love. And yeah, did you like Lilo and Stitch? Because it does feel like a lot of these bigger YouTubers are dogging on it.